Welcome to the Fit 15 podcast show, where you'll find health and fitness inspiration, motivation, and information shared in 15-minute episodes. Tune in while getting a move on to make leading and enjoying the benefits of a healthy lifestyle almost too easy. It's the Fit 15. And now your host, Catherine Basu.
So you gotta let down your guard and be honest and be like, listen, my trigger is whipping cream. It can't be in the house.
Yep.
I will do all the wonderful things with it. I don't want it anywhere near my house.
Welcome to the Fit 15 podcast show. I'm your host, Catherine Basu, and that was a little snippet from yesterday's episode with Joanna Gold, who is back again today to continue our conversation on how to hire a personal chef. In case you missed that, definitely go back and tune into that first episode 107 with Joanna, to learn some of the basics for working with a personal chef, things you want to consider, what the first meeting with your personal chef is like. For the second half of our conversation, we focused more on how to hire a personal chef on a budget. So if you've been considering hiring a personal chef but felt like you couldn't afford it, you're going to love this episode. And you might be surprised by the fact that hiring a personal chef might not just be a lot more affordable than you thought, but actually could save you money. So before we get into that part of the conversation, I'm just going to crop Joanna back in here from where we left off, talking about some of the things you might want to discuss with your personal chef, like trigger foods that may or may not need to be in the house. And then we'll get to those tips on hiring a chef on a budget. I hope you enjoyed this half of our conversation. Don't forget to go back to yesterday's episode if you missed it. All right, here is Joanna.
So, you need to be honest of on that level too. Let that chef know your triggers, and it might be even worth it to, if they do have a fee that they charge just for consultations. If you don't have the budget to work with them on a daily basis or a weekly basis, I would think that any chef would be happy, or working privately would take that opportunity to think to themselves, oh, maybe this is a great angle for me. Mm-hmm. So I'd say don't be afraid to reach out and be like, hey, this is what I want. You think you could sit down with me? What do you charge for it? I just need a consult and some help and some suggestions of local stores that would best suit my needs.
That's a good point, right? Because the chef in your area will know more about, what's specific. And because I was going to say, the budget, that probably varies widely for those of us here in California versus, right?
100%,
different locations.
Right?
And so.
Yeah. I mean, and your grocery stores
right.
are incredibly different. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I mean, you go into the Yowen or whatever, I can't even say it right because I'm not that fancy, but I love that grocery store. And I walk in and I get the sweats of nervous because it's all so wonderful, mm-hmm. but it's definitely at a way higher price point than something like a Rouse would be. And you have to be realistic about all of these options and lay them out. Be like, this is what I want. This is what's important to my family. Can you guide me? Mm-hmm. And like I said, I think that any person doing what I do would take that as a compliment, mm-hmm. that you were contacted, I would think. Mm-hmm. And then B, take it as an opportunity to only provide better service for this person, but maybe even a present client. Because you're like, you know what? Yeah, this is giving me a chance to sit down and look at all my options and my local choices and talk to a prospective client and help me kind of see inside of it. So
sure. Yeah, because
I would think that would happen anywhere.
Yeah. I would say people's needs are always changing. I mean, that's something I've learned in my business, what people want in terms of what their budget is, what they want to work on. So yeah, I guess communication is really important, and then not being afraid to share your actual budget and cause I think it sounds like you guys, similar to me. Like, I mean, we don't mind if someone wants, can only afford one session. That can actually be really helpful for the right motivated client, right? So it just kind of depends, being able to meet people where they're at is important, I think.
I think, yeah. And I do believe that, like you said, that person, I've been that person that could, in my life, do no sessions, one session, depending mm-hmm. on the time of year. I could probably work 2 or 3 sessions into my budget. I mean, because in my family, I own my own business. Mm-hmm. So businesses, that's a big thing that's happening in America right now. I mean, people are starting their own businesses. They're going off and starting their own firms, doing that kind of thing, but they still don't want to give up the things that they love,
Right.
They love fresh food. They want clean food. They're not going to sacrifice now and start going, through a drive-through, because I think we all know, long story on that. I mean, they're spending the same amount of money and they're getting less quality. And it's
Right.
it's really, I'll tell you though, we've had quite a few clients in the past that I found very humorous, because whether it be the husband or the wife that had hired us, but the opposite spouse would come in and be very kind of, a little hostile, a little upset that you're spending this money on this person coming in and cooking your food in your kitchen, and it sounds insane on paper. I'm going to come into your house and cook your food, and then I'm going to leave, and to them that sounds insane. But then I told them, I'm like, I get what's going on. Just do me a favor and go through your credit card and highlight every time you purchased a smoothie, a salad to go, fajitas at a Mexican restaurant, all of these things. I go, and then highlight when you went grocery shopping.
Right.
And if you're finding yourself going grocery shopping and then coming home and ordering Postmates, you need to fix life. I mean, that's that you've just added another $100 to your grocery bill. About 40 minutes after you rang out, and you're getting one meal.
Right.
So the client has come back to me laughing, and he's like, I'm working in the accounting firm at X and S here, and he goes, and you got me. I go, yeah. I go, it's happening. It's happening, and I go, I just know it's happening because growing up, my family was very leftover conscious. My parents did an amazing job at being on the same page and budgeting, and my mother cooked every meal, and and there was leftover day on Saturday, So for going from that to in this world of fast casual service, it blows my mind that people don't realize how much food costs.
Hey friends, it's Catherine, and if you're joining us for that out and back 15-minute walk and that's the only time you have, that little sound is your halfway point reminder. We're about 7.5 minutes into the episode, so you'll want to turn around now. All right, back to Joanna.
So when they're adding in my service, they realize that they're spending the same amount of money when it comes to, because you really have to factor it in. I mean, and anyone who's tried to bring a child to a restaurant will tell you they'll write a blank check to me right now if they can just get some food in their face. They don't even care. So I think that's important to think about too. I mean, what's your time worth? If you're charging a client $150 an hour for a decorator, fee or a lawyer fee, but then you come home and and then you fight for dinner and all the things. Does it really work out? What's your time worth?
Right. And we were talking about before, even the time going to and from the grocery store, right? So beyond the actual cost
to and from the grocery store, 100%. And the things that I can get done, or one of my chefs can get done in 3 hours, I can legitimately say with all of my heart, in 5 years, I've never gotten one phone call, email, or text message back from a client that didn't say they got enough for what they're paid. And I can say that with all my heart. We've never once had a client say, well, I just don't feel like we're getting enough for what we're paying for. No, it's never the case. That's because they look around and they go, wow, muffins, chicken ready for the grill, a dry salad, parfaits, homemade granola, a sliced steak, tofu. I mean, all the things that they can't wrap their brain around because that's not what they do for a living.
Right.
I mean, I couldn't do my lawn. I'd be there for 4 days. I wouldn't know where to start.
Right.
And I could tell. For sure.
Very cool. So you guys are offering some newer services you're mentioning that might be more cost effective for people, or just a different way to work with you?
Well, we are, so that's the thing. We are an hourly service.
Mm-hmm.
And the best part about what we do is that, as I mentioned, every home's different. And I think people are distracted by that element of what we are.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we try to tell people we're providing this service with personal chefs, as opposed to highlighting the fact that we are personal chefs. So we can sit down with a client and we can look at them and they say they're starting a new specific diet. I'd rather take that time, one of the hours in the week, to sit down with them and break down their diet and say, this is your grocery list. This is what you should do first.
Mm-hmm.
You will cook this at the same time as this. Cook this in mass quantities because you eat a ton of it. You know, I mean, it's kind of interesting to show people how to break that down, as opposed to another home where they may have a little bit more disposable income and they don't care how it gets in their fridge. They just do it, which is great. But we want both ends of the spectrum. We want any home to feel like they can reach out because maybe they just need us once or twice. Just to kind of get their brain percolating, getting a couple of new ideas. They're just sick of cooking the same crock pot Southwest chicken serve over rice or quinoa or cauliflower rice or So they need that. They need that inspiration. They need that little bit of information to sit with us and go, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right, that makes sense. Let's get more of this, less of this.
Mm-hmm.
So it definitely helps for sure. I think but once again, it's just about that being a little bit vulnerable, giving a little bit of that communication, and being like, this is where I want to be, and this is where I'm at.
So, see, I was going to ask you who your ideal client was, but I'm wondering if the answer is just someone who communicates well.
That's it. It's a hard thing to swallow. When people say, if you talk to a man in a boardroom right now, they'd go impossible. And I've done it. I've been in that room where we were discussing it with investors and everything, and they still shake their head and they go, no, you have to have one ideal client. And I go, it's just not possible, because what we do is so broad. I love my empty nesters just as much as I love my new moms.
Sure.
And everywhere in between. And then you might have a single woman who, she's maybe a vice president at an oil company here in the city, and she doesn't want to eat takeout. Mm-hmm. So we cook once a week and go in there and bang out, amazing, beautiful meals that are going to keep her at her desk, as opposed to having her call down and getting an enchilada that's just a box of junk.
Yep.
And it keeps them motivated and it keeps them excited. So yeah, I really don't believe that there is any, and for what we do, and we have that open parameter, of who can enjoy our service. So I don't believe that for Gold Plated there's an ideal client. I just think it's somebody who wants to make a change, whether that be for health or for stability of bringing healthy food into the home or new ideas into the home. And, I think everybody, has a little bit of that, that little bit of side income that they were spending at a restaurant could definitely see the use in utilizing us to help them get where they want to be.
I love that. Well, I'm so glad we got to have your insights. Now I'm like wanting to look into a personal chef myself. Not that I wasn't already before, but it feels more like it could be possible. So.
Absolutely. I do think it's possible. And there are a couple of companies that, I've definitely looked over throughout the United States that I found that I'd be happy to share, because I'm one of those people that believes shutting out somebody else in business does not make you any more profitable.
Oh, absolutely.
I think reaching out and learning something from everybody is so much better. Because then it also, I believe, legitimizes what you do. It's like, look at all these other people doing it. I told you it was a thing.
Right. No, that's true. That's true. No, I definitely would love that. Because, I used to have some people I'd work with because I started my business in Houston, Texas, and some of them have gone out of business. So it's like I'm always wanting, like more people to refer, my clients to. So
right. No, oh, absolutely. I'm happy to I have, my family's all from the East Coast, living in California before here, and then now Oklahoma. We have, and then our family down in Houston. So it's so funny because my husband's aunt and cousins literally once a week I get a text message or a comment on our social media, and it's like, why can't you just move to Katy? And it's like, I'm sorry. It is what it is, or find me somebody in San Diego or, or whatever it is. And absolutely, I'm happy to show that because once again, I think it just goes back to, I think I can provide a better service for my clients if I'm listening to what other people are asking for.
Yeah.
I mean, that just makes sense all around.
No, for sure. Well, awesome. Well, I'll put this in the show notes, but where can people connect with you, if they are local or they just want to see, because you have a blog as well, right? So
correct. We just started our blog, and we'll be sharing local information in Oklahoma City, as well as recipes that people find on our Instagram. Our Instagram is Gold Plated Food, and all the time we're getting the comments, wanting to know proportions of things. And so we put that together now with our blog, and we just launched that, and we'll be redirecting people to that for the recipes, which is great. Some fun food picks. Anytime we're going to be meeting up with local companies like Olive Tree is one that we're working with now, and Savory Spice, which is actually a national franchise, but one's locally owned here in Oklahoma City. So we'll do different events with that. But we'll Gold Plated Food and then Gold Plated on Facebook.
Very cool. Well, I loved having you as a guest, Joanna, and thanks for taking the time to hang out with us.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for asking. This was really fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Fit 15. For show notes and more, visit fitarmadillo.com/podcast. See you next time.
Hi friends, it's Catherine. I hope you now feel empowered to actually consider hiring a personal chef even if you're on a budget. If you are getting ready to hire a personal chef after this episode, do not forget to head back to episode 107, also with Joanna, where she shared more of the kind of practical tips of what to expect when you go to hire that personal chef and questions you might want to ask. So don't miss that, episode 107, yesterday's episode. If you subscribe to the podcast, I will chat with you tomorrow. And if you haven't left a rating or review yet, head on over to iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you listen to podcasts, leave that review, make my day. And that's all I have for you today. So I'm excited to chat with you tomorrow in our next episode. Thanks for listening. Bye.